Kerch is a city of regional significance on the Kerch Peninsula in the east of the Crimea. Population 147,033. Founded 2,600 years ago as an ancient Greek colony, Kerch is considered to be one of the most ancient cities in Crimea. The city experienced rapid growth starting in the 1920s and was the site of a major battle during World War II. Today, it is one of the largest cities in Crimea and is among the Republic's most important industrial, transport and tourist centers. History. Ancient times. Archaeological digs at Maluk village near the city ascertained that the area had already been inhabited in 17th–15th centuries BC. Kerch as a city starts its history in 7th century BC, when Greek colonists from Miletus founded a city-state named Panticapaeum on Mount Mithridat near the mouth of the Melik-Chesmi River. Panticapaeum subdued nearby cities and by 480 BC became a capital of the Kingdom of Bosphorus. Later, during the rule of Mithridates Eupator, Panticapaeum for a short period of time became the capital of the much more powerful and extensive Kingdom of Pontus. The city was located at the intersection of trade routes between the steppe and Europe. This caused it to grow rapidly. The city's main exports were grain and salted fish. Winemaking was also common. Panticapaeum minted its own coins. According to extant documents, the Melik-Chesmi River was navigable in Bosporan times and sea galleys were able to enter the river. A large portion of the city's population was ethnically Scythian, later Sarmatian, as the large royal baroque Eloba testifies. In the 1st century AD, Panticapaeum and the Kingdom of Bosphorus suffered from Ostrogoth raids. Then the city was devastated by the Huns in AD 375. Middle Ages. From the 6th century the city was under the control of the Byzantine Empire. By order of Emperor Justinian I, a citadel named Bospor was built there. Bospor was the center of a bishopric, the Diocese of Bosphorus, and developed under the influence of Greek Christianity. In 576, it withstood a siege by the Gokturks under Khan, aided by Anagai, the last Khan of the Uturgas. In the 7th century, the Turkic Khazars took control of Bospor, and the city was named Karcha from Turkic Karsi, meaning opposite, facing. The main local government official during Khazar times was the Tudun. Christianity was a major religion in Kerch during the period of Khazar rule. Kerch's Church of St. John the Baptist was founded in 717. Thus, it is the oldest church in Ukraine. The Church of the Apostles existed during the late 8th and early 9th centuries. According to the Life of the Apostle Andrew by Epiphanius of Salamis, following the fall of Khazaria to Kievan Rus in the late 10th century, Kerch became the center of a Khazar successor state. Its ruler, Georgius Tzul, was deposed by a Byzantine Rus expedition in 1016. For the 10th century, the city was a Slavic settlement named Korchev, which belonged to the Teutonic Principality. Kerch was a center of trade between Russia, Crimea, Caucasus and the Orient. In the 13th century, the Crimea including Korchev was invaded by Mongols. After Mongols, the city became the Genoese colony of Surko in 1318 and served as a sea harbor, where townspeople worked at saltworks and fishery. In 1475, city was passed to the Ottoman Empire. During the Turkish rule, Kerch fell into decay and served as a slave market. It repeatedly suffered from raids of Zaporozhian Cossacks. 18th–20th centuries. In response to strengthening of Russian military forces in Azov area, the Turks built a fortress named Yenikale near Kerch on the shore of Kerch Strait. The fortress was completed by 1706. In 1771 the Imperial Russian Army invaded Crimea and approached Yenikale. The Turks decided to abandon the fortress, though reinforcements from the Ottoman Empire had arrived a few days earlier. By the Peace Treaty of Kachak-Kainarji in 1774, Kerch and Yenikale were ceded to Russia. As a result, the Turkish heritage has been almost completely wiped out. In 1790, Russian naval forces under the command of Admiral Fyodor Ushakov defeated the Turkish fleet at the Battle of Kerch Strait. Because of its location, from 1821 Kerch developed into an important trade and fishing port. The State Museum of Ancient Times and a number of educational institutions were opened in the city. The ironwork factory was built in 1846 based on a huge iron ore deposit found on Kerch Peninsula. During the Crimean War, the city was devastated by British forces in 1855. In the late 19th century, mechanical and cement factories were built, and tinned food and tobacco factories were established. By 1900, Kerch was connected to a railroad system, and the fairway of Kerch Strait was deepened and widened. At this time, the population had reached 33,000. After suffering a decline during the First World War and the Russian Civil War, the city resumed its growth in the late 1920s, with the expansion of various industries, iron ore and metallurgy in particular, and by 1939 its population had reached 104,500. Kerch in World War II. On the Eastern Front of World War II from 1941 to 1945, Kerch was the site of heavy fighting between Soviet Army and Axis forces. After fierce fighting, the city was taken by the Germans in November 1941. On the 31st of December 1941, the 302nd Mountain Rifle Division recaptured the city following a naval landing operation at Crimea.Population, to the south of the city, 5 days earlier. In 1942, the Germans occupied the city again. The Red Army lost over 160,000 men, either killed or taken part at the Battle of the Kerch Peninsula. On the 31st of October 1943, another Soviet naval landing operation was launched. Kerch returned to Soviet control on the 11th of April 1944. The German invaders killed about 15,000 citizens and deported another 14,000 during their occupation. Evidence of German atrocities in Kerch was presented in the Nuremberg trials. After the war, the city was awarded the title Hero City. The Adzamushka catacombs in the city's suburbs were the site of guerrilla warfare against the occupation. Thousands of soldiers and refugees found shelter inside, and were involved in counterattacks. Many of them died underground, including those who died of numerous alleged poison gas attacks. Later, a memorial was established on the site. Modern Kerch. Administrative divisions. The city municipality stretches over a substantial area and includes several separate neighborhoods that are part of the Kerch city: Eltigin, Crimea.Population, Port Krim, Adzamushkai, and Tuzla Island. Industry. Today Kerch is considered as a city of metallurgists, shipbuilders and fishermen. The largest enterprises in the city are Kerch Metallurgical Works Factory, launched in 1900, Crimea.Population Iron Ore Plant, Zayliv Shipbuilding Factory that produces and repairs tankers and cargo ships. Construction materials, food processing, and light industries play a significant role in the city's economy. Kerch is also a fishing fleet base and an important processing center for numerous fish products. Transport. Kerch has a harbor on the Kerch Strait, which makes it a key to the Sea of Azov, several railroad terminals and a small airport. The Kerch Strait ferry line across the Kerch Strait was established in 1953, connecting Crimea and the Krasnodar Krai. There are also plans for a Kerch ferry route. There are several ports in Kerch, including Kerch Maritime Trading Port, Kerch Maritime Fishing Port, Port Krim, Kamish-Burun Port. The railroad terminals include Kerch, Kerch-On, Kerch Factory, Arshanzyevo, and Krim. Bus network connects Kerch to other cities in Crimea and Krasnodar Krai. Education: Kerch hosts 28 schools, 9 institutes and branches of Ukrainian and Russian universities, shipbuilding and polytechnical colleges, medical school, 6 PTU schools, a number of preschool child institutions. Archaeological digs in Kerch were launched under Russian auspices in the middle of the 19th century. Since then, the site of ancient Panticapaeum city on Mount Mithridat has been systematically excavated. Located nearby are several ancient burial mounds and excavated cities. Kerch takes part in UNESCO's Silk Road program. Treasures and historical findings of Kerch adorn the collections of major museums around the world, such as the Hermitage, the Louvre, the British Museum, the Berlin Museum, the Moscow State Museum of Fine Arts, and many others. Currently, excavations at ancient fortresses of Kerch are led by scientists from Russia, Ukraine, and Poland. Tourism: because of its location on shores of Azov and Black Seas, Kerch became a popular summer resort among people of former USSR. Also, several mud-cure sources are located near the city. Despite the seaside location, the tourist appeal of Kerch today is limited because of the industrial character of the city and associated pollution. Despite the lack of beaches in the town's area, there are a lot of them at a distance of 20 minutes travel by bus, train or taxi. Kerch has a number of impressive architectural and historical monuments. Ancient historical heritage of the city makes it attractive for scientific tourism. The most notable of Kerch's sites are: site of ancient settlement Panticapaeum, Zarski Kurgan, burial mound for one of Bosphorian kings, Church of St. John the Baptist, Fortress of Yenikale, the Great Mithridates staircase leading on top of the Mount Mithridat, contains 428 footsteps. Built in 1833 to 1840 under the guidance of Italian architect A. Digby, obelisk of glory on the Mount Mithridat, built after World War II. Lapidarium, memorial of heroic guerrilla warfare in Adsamushke mines. Kerch Fortress, restricted area in Soviet times but free to enter in present days. The fortress was built by the Russian military architect Totlaban in the middle of 19th century. Sites of ancient settlements: Mermasium, Tirataka and Nymphii. There are also some settlements which have gone underwater due to earthquakes. So-called Demetra's Crypt, a crypt with numerous frescoes dated 1st century BC. Festivals and celebrations: Liberation Day, Day of Fishermen, Day of the City, honors a minor planet. 2216 Kerch, discovered in 1971 by Soviet astronomer Tamara Mikhailovna Smirnova, is named after the city. Twin towns, sister cities. Climate: Kerch has a humid subtropical climate with cool to cold winters and warm to hot summers. Recent events: autumn storm of 2007. On the 11th of November 2007, there was a great storm that passed through the city, causing much damage and an ecological disaster as a few ships, including an oil tanker, were shipwrecked and blocked the Kerch Strait. Kerch Strait Bridge on the 25th of April 2010. Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych and Russian President Dmitry Medvedev signed an agreement to build a bridge across the Kerch Strait. In January 2015, the multi-billion-dollar contract for the construction of the bridge was awarded to Arkady Rotenberg's SGM Group. In May 2015, construction of the bridge commenced. It is projected to be fully completed and operational by 2019.